Hello, beautiful friends. It's Erika. I'm coming on with a really important message, and I have never done anything like this before on the channel, so I know it's significant, extremely significant, and I wanted to share it because I feel like it's an important call. So I got this massive message through a dream, and then when I woke up, I had this incredible download of the meaning of the dream and what it all entails and all that. But this is just going to be like an audio. There's not going to be any visuals for this, but because I'm recording it as a voice memo before I forget it. So this morning I had come back from dropping my daughter off at school and was ready to get going on my work. And I felt this overwhelming need to sleep. Yeah, I was tired from staying up late last night, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take a nap today. And when I came home, I had this, it's all I could do was to get my ass upstairs and get into bed and take a nap. So I did. I have been honoring my body and my cycles of energy for so long now in this journey that I don't question it. And I just trust it. So I ended up having this dream, and at first it was like, oh my God, I just had this really creepy dream. What the hell was that about? And then boom, it was massive. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the dream as well as the download that came in after. So, and obviously I'm sure as you guys are listening, you'll probably be getting some information as well. But in the dream, we were outside and my daughter was there, and we were outside at a lake, and it was a beautiful sunny day. There were people playing in the water. You know, it was like summertime, and it wasn't just, a private lake where I was swimming. It was, it was an area where there were a lot of people around, and they were having fun. Kids were splashing around, and it was just a gorgeous day. And I had been out in the water for a little bit, and then I started to basically wade towards shore because I was needing a break, or I was going to eat lunch or whatever, but I started wading back towards shore. And as I'm going back towards shore, the water was pretty clear at that point, because it was relatively shallow. Maybe it was waist deep where I was. And I went to walk towards the shore, and I looked a little to my left, and I caught a glimpse of something under the water. And oh my gosh, it's like kind of creepy to think of, but it was a white sock that was attached to a little boy that was floating just under the surface of the water. And it was like he had drowned. And the light from the sun caught the view of the white sock, because his skin was sort of almost the color of the sand at the bottom, so I wouldn't have seen him. And I immediately I was like, oh my God, there's a little boy there. And I used to be a lifeguard, and I was panicking because I had a couple rescues when I was a lifeguard, and it just brought it back. And I was like, oh my God, I got to go get him. And I went to the shore, and he had kind of floated underneath this dock area, and I grabbed, and again, I'm so sorry if this is kind of creepy, but you'll understand the meaning later. And I was on the shore, and I was panicking because I was scared to save him, because I'm like, oh my God, what if it doesn't work? What if I can't save him? And I was panicked because it was such my worst nightmare. And needless to say, I grabbed him and pulled him out of the water, and I flipped him around. I brought him up on shore and immediately started doing CPR flipped him over. Actually, first I started on, anyway, let's just say very quickly, the water all came out and he starts coughing and sputtering, and I could feel the life coming back into his body. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to be okay. And I have these massive chills leaving this message right now or recording this. And immediately, like, it happened very quickly. It wasn't one of these like, oh my God, nothing's happening. It literally was almost like the moment I put my hands on that little boy, he came back to life, and he even started like saying something, and he started like talking a little bit. And he was a toddler. He was little boy. And I was like, oh my God, he's okay. He's going to be okay. And I like yelled out, to everybody, he's okay. And his parents were there. They had no idea that he had been gone missing, which was so ironic because now as I'm saying this, I forgot the fact that, anyway, I'm just getting more downloads as I'm recording this. So trying to make sure I get it all. And so I was like, oh my God, he's okay. And then, they had whatever, the paramedics came out, like wanted to talk to the parents, like, what were you doing? Why was this little boy left alone? And I did not let this little boy go. I basically nestled him against my chest, like with his head kind of by my neck, like I would hold a baby, like I used to hold my daughter. And this little boy just like got held. Like I fiercely did not want to let this little boy go. And I felt so protective over him. And he just melted in my arms. And it was like he was drinking in that nurturing and loving energy because he had never had it before. And while I'm doing this, I can see the dad, not as much the mom, but the dad of the little boy talking and explaining why basically he had been neglected. Ugh, broke my heart. But I wouldn't let him go. And I held him, and he just like nestled into my embrace and my snuggle, like just completely safe. And further on in the dream, eventually they checked him out, and after they finished talking to the parents, they checked him out, and he was totally fine, happy, like awake, like nothing. No, he didn't need any monitoring. It was like, nope, I'm good, like totally normal. And then the beautiful thing is then I went back into the water, and my daughter had wanted to go swimming with me. And I was swimming with her in the water, and the little boy came in the water and swam. Suddenly he knew how to swim. And he was having fun. And we were all having fun and actually enjoying the water. So that's the dream. So that's what happened in the dream. But then when I woke up, and like I said, when I woke up, I was like, oh, it was really creepy to have a dream of basically finding this lifeless little boy in the water. But obviously, this is a message for the divine feminine. This is about the feminine having the awareness, number one. And if you guys saw my video I did yesterday, that was the card of the divine feminine, was the awareness card. Her overall energy is having that heightened awareness. And had I not had that awareness, because there were a lot of people around, it would have been easy to just be in my head going about my life and my day and not notice that little boy needing help. But because I had that awareness, I immediately noticed what nobody else was noticing. It was the divine feminine who notices the little boy, the little masculine boy who was drowning in his emotions. I mean, he was overwhelmed with the emotions to the point where he had stopped fighting. So some of the masculines may be in this situation right now, which is why I feel like this is a very significant message for some of you. Not all of them are in this place. And if they're not in this place right now, they may have been in this place. And you may have already moved through this phase, or you may be in this place at some point in the future. And remember, I was scared. I was terrified to save him, even though my instinct was to do something, to reach out a hand, to pull him up. Because I was afraid it wouldn't work. And I couldn't handle it if I wasn't able to. I wouldn't be able to emotionally handle it if I tried to help and I couldn't save him. So I froze for a minute, but then I was just took over. My protective nature as the divine feminine, that fierce nature of Isis, that fierce protection along with the nurturing came through. And those of you who are mama bears out there, you know how this is with your children, right? So, and it's interesting because a lot of the lessons and the learning for the divine feminine are not to, it's not up to us to, quote unquote, help our masculine, right? Because he can help himself. He can help himself. You can open the door and he can see where he's going. He's going to fight his battles and he's going to get to his feminine. But there are some of you where it's important to, if you're feeling this call, if you feel like there's something where he may be in trouble and truly needing a hand up, just a brief hand up, because remember, all it took was the awareness of the feminine and the quick hand up to yank him out of the water, yank him out of the emotions, quickly, thud him, actually literally turned him on his belly, hit him on the back. I didn't even need to do the CPR because I literally just flipped him over, thud him on the back and pushed on the back a couple times, and it pushed the water right out of his lungs. So I didn't even need to resort to CPR. But there's some of them that may need you to notice. If you've been feeling this, you might need to notice. And face your fear and just help him up out of the water, and he'll quickly sputter back to life. So again, this is just for those of you that either are experiencing this right now or have experienced it in the past, and you know what comes next once you listen and heed this call from the divine, or for this is preparing some of you for being on the awareness for something that may come in the future in your situation. But then there was this, so anyway, and when I pulled him out and he quickly came back to life, it was not hard. It wasn't rigorous. It wasn't dramatic, oh my God, is he going to make it? Nothing's happening. It literally was the moment I laid my hands on that little boy's back and pushed, the water came out of his lungs and he continued to sputter and the water all poured out. But I was I could feel the life in his body, and I was oh my God, he's going to be okay. And then I did not want to let him go because I felt so protective over this little boy. The little boy represents the distorted masculine, the distortion of the masculine, who's unable and conditioned to be disconnected from his emotions. And sometimes when they open up their hearts, which a lot of them have been doing, they've been connecting to their emotional bodies for the first time in their entire lives. They may be completely overwhelmed with their emotions. They may not know how to get out. They may not know how to save themselves. And they may just be there floating just under the surface, unnoticed, except by the divine feminine who's aware. And then, again, with the help of the feminine who's aware, who does what she has to do, pull her masculine up, because remember, the masculines are dealing with not only their own heaviness, their own dark, their own shadow. They are moving through incredible amounts of emotional overwhelm for the collective, because we have been held in living in distorted masculine energy for so long. Thousands of years living in the distortion of the masculine, where he's been cut off. So he's not only doing this for himself, he's doing this for everyone. So it's big, it's overwhelming. But the beautiful thing is, when the feminine recognizes it and pulls him up, he immediately comes to life, because he's got it in him. He's got it in him. He's got his strength. He's got his life. He's got his vibrancy. He's got his enjoyment for life. The moment the feminine, it's like she activated him. Like, I activated this little boy by saving him. And sometimes that activation can happen physically, with you in physical touch with your masculine. It could be a touch of, it could be a hug, it could be a touch on the arm. Sometimes it's an activation that happens in the higher dimensions during dream state. So if you're not in communication, you're not in touch, you're not able. And again, this is about you following your guidance. You're each going to have this individually, but the message is still the same. This little boy was activated, and then, the quote-unquote police or the paramedics interrogating the parents about, how did you let this little boy get into this situation? And they were clueless. They were just like, they were just part of the conditioning. It wasn't, they weren't trying to be negligent. They were just doing what they just weren't aware. They weren't aware. I thought that was interesting how they showed it, that, and the dad was the one doing the talking. And I remember the dad talking about how he had just he didn't know that he had this tool or this weapon that was so powerful. I think he was talking about, I don't know, it's coming to me now. It's almost like he was talking about a gun. And there was a loaded gun. It wasn't about the loaded gun. It was about, sorry, I'm processing real time. It's it's a little fuzzy, but there was definitely this weapon that he was using. He talked about how he had been taking his son to go hunting, because that's what men do. Or at least this guy did with his little boy. And this is not a statement about hunting for food. But this is in the dream. He had gone hunting with his little boy, because he thought he had to teach him to be strong and tough, and again, sort of disconnect from his emotional body in a way. And whether it was something he had to do for food, or he was doing it for fun, like as in sport, that's different, but ultimately it was about stuffing the emotions, like you can't be sad about this. And he didn't realize the effect that it would have on this little boy. And the crazy thing is, I had a healing session with a client yesterday. And it was this incredible session where it was divinely guided. It was, this person hadn't even known why they booked the session with me. And obviously it was because they were called to. But during the session, this beautiful soul was shown this grief, this incredible grief, this processing of the grief, and I'll keep a long story long, but I'll keep it short with this part. The session was processing the grief of the collective distorted masculine, the grief of the divine masculine for being in the distortion for so long. And it was pulled through. So it's no accident that right now there's this dream of this little boy drowning in emotions, in the water representing emotions. So it's an important message, whether it applies to you now, it did in the past and you've moved through this point, because I know some of you have, or whether it's something that they're preparing you for to just be on the awareness of. It's not going to necessarily be for all of you, of course, but this is where there may be a call from your guidance to take some sort of action. But again, this needs to come from true guidance, not because you want to propel things forward, not because you want to hurry things up. That's not where this comes from. Because remember, I was terrified. And I can tell you that when you get a piece of guidance that is so scary to you, but you trust spirit and you trust the guidance and you know it's their signal to you to take some sort of an action. It's not the ego talking. It wasn't the, oh, I want to make something better. I'm going to go look for a little boy to save, you know? So again, I've talked about this on many of my videos, obviously, about when you may need to reach out to the masculine, or when to hang back. And that's going to be your discernment, divine feminine. So anyway, I hope that this has been helpful for you. And again, I've never done a video like this the way I'm doing it right now, but it wasn't even an option. So I send you all so much love. And for you masculines out there that are feeling this way, if you're listening to my words, reach out to anybody, reach out to your feminine. If you're in that situation, reach out, but reach out to somebody, okay? I send you guys so much love. Until next time, bye.